to my channel. My name is Adriana, I'm 23 years old, and I drive a 1992 Eagle Talon. So, as you guys can tell by the title of this video, today I'm going to be explaining to you guys how I got chosen for fastest car and trying to give you guys some tips and tricks, so maybe we can better your chances of being chosen for the next season. So without any further ado, let's get started. But first and foremost, how did I even find out about second season? So, I found out about season 2 from Facebook, really, where you find all your information these days. I saw people posting it was an open casting call everywhere, all over. Every single car page I was on, people were posting it left and right all day, every day. And at first I didn't really give much thought to it. I kind of just ignored it, and you know, I think at the time it was right after my 240 blew up for the millionth time. And so at the time I was like, oh, I don't even have anything to enter, blah, 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 like didn't really give it much thought. And then a few weeks went by and I started talking to my dad about it and told him, you know, I mean, I'm seeing this posted everywhere. They have to be getting a lot of, you know, applications and everything like that. And he's like, well, if you want to enter the talent, you know, go ahead, obviously, because the 240 is not right. So I said, of course, yeah. So I decided to submit it. I didn't think much of it, to be honest with you. I did not think they would ever look at my application because I knew they were getting a ton of applicants. So it was pretty much sent in and forgotten about. And then a few weeks went by and I started seeing people post about, you know, they got a phone call or they got a Skype interview and things like that, and I hadn't gotten anything. So I was like, oh, okay, you know, I guess they didn't like my application, whatever. Didn't really give it much thought, just figured, oh, maybe I'll try for season 3. Again, a few weeks went by, even after, like, I had seen people talk about interviews and stuff. It was probably another 2-3 weeks. It was at least 3 weeks, yeah. Another 3 weeks went by, and eventually I got a phone call, I believe, from Margaret, or it was a text, I don't remember. I think it was a phone call. And she told me, hey, you know, I work with Fastest Car. She's not a producer. I don't really know what to call her title, but she helps, like, find people and pitches them, I guess, to the producers. So if you're in if you're in show business stuff, then you probably know what that's called, but I don't know her actual title. But anyways, she's like a recruiter for the show, and she said that she saw my application and she loved it and blah blah blah. And so we talked on the phone for probably, I don't know, like 10-ish minutes. It was a pretty quick phone call. It was just like, oh, you know, my name, my age, you know, where I live, how did I get into cars, just really basic. And then I think she asked a little bit about the car, but not a whole lot. So then a few days went by, probably a week or so, and I just assumed, okay, maybe I didn't make it any further, you know, whatever. I wasn't really thinking about it a whole lot. I wasn't really like harping like, oh, can you update me, can you update, you know, I really didn't. I don't know if that would help you or not, if you like stayed on top of it, probably not. But I didn't do that. That's not the route that I took. So she eventually, I think, texted me or emailed me and told me, hey, I want to set up a Skype interview with you, blah, blah, blah. So we did the Skype interview, and that was probably 40-ish minutes, 45 minutes or so, that we did the Skype interview, and that's where she really asked, you know, a lot more about me and about the car-ish sort of. They really don't ask a lot about the car, to be honest with you. This is where you are, I guess, pitching yourself. I didn't really even know that at this point. That's what I was supposed to be doing, but you're selling yourself, and you know, this is where you have to have your sob story ready to go. So we've all had sad stuff happen to us, we've all had bad things happen to us. If you have not ever had any one bad thing happen to you, then you're extremely lucky, I guess, but we've all had it happen. So don't be, if you're like nervous or you don't really want to talk about that bad experience or whatever, then I would say probably don't really stand that great of a chance. You have to have something. Car accident, or you know, maybe somebody really close to you lost, or maybe, you know, you went through depression or addiction yourself. You know, you have to have something that gives you like that backstory kind of substance to you, I guess. I had 2 and they didn't use either one, as you guys saw by the show, but I really think that was because once they filmed with Danny, because I was the last person they filmed with, once they filmed with Danny, they were like, oh no, we don't need that, we're just gonna use, and they saw my makeup, like when they came here, as you guys can see, my room is pink, and it's kind of like my makeup room. So once they came here and they saw my toolbox full of makeup, they were like, alright, we're using that. And I didn't really understand why they were like so, you know, oh, like they filmed me. I wasn't really putting on makeup when I was doing the brush thing. They literally just like had me do that probably 20-ish times. I understand why they were like so into it, but obviously it's because after they filmed with Danny, they realized, oh, this is perfect, it writes itself. So yeah, so anyway, so have a story ready to go. Don't make something up, but you know, like I said, everyone's had something that's happened to them. So don't be afraid to talk about it. If it's something that's hard for you to talk about or you've never talked about before, you know, rehearse it. Talk about it to yourself in the mirror over and over again. Talk about it to yourself on a video and then go back and watch it, and you know what I'm saying? But be ready for that because you gotta have it. So after we did my Skype interview, she also wanted to do an interview with my dad and with Patrick. So I think it was that same day. Yeah, it was later that same day. They came and they did their separate interviews with her. And she asked some questions about me. She didn't ask really anything about the car, I don't think. It's pretty much all about me, and wow, that sounded really bad. All about me and like everything, yeah. So it's pretty much about like, oh, you know, what words would you use to describe Adriana? What kind of person is she? What do you think about her being into cars and being a female? We'll get into that later. And asked about some of my karate because actually, okay, so let me backtrack to my application. So when I submitted my application, so if you do something else besides cars, don't be afraid to talk about it. I'm convinced that that was honestly a big reason why I was chosen and not so much the story. But anyway, so when I submitted my application, they asked at the end, like, oh, do you want to say anything else or whatever? I really should have screenshot it, but to be honest, I thought I had 0 chance of being chosen. I never thought I'd be doing videos and stuff like this, so I didn't screenshot it. But there's a part where it says like, oh, have you ever been on TV before? I think something like that. Have you ever been on TV before and dealt with cameras and pressure and stuff like that? And so I told them yes, and I sent them a link to my video, which was in the episode where you saw me doing the sword with my hakama on, and you can hear the guys talking like, oh, and the pressure doesn't get to her and blah blah blah. So I actually sent them that video and I told them, you know, yes, I've been on ESPN before and I've been under a lot of pressure and I'm great under pressure and blah blah blah. So anyway, so getting back to where I was. So we were in the Skype interview thing and they did their interviews. And actually in the interview, she even told me, she said, you know, we're only planning on doing a Florida episode this season. We are really thinking about you guys for next season. We might be doing Florida for season 3, assuming we get chosen. They weren't actually guaranteed season 3 yet, and I don't think that they have been yet, but I'm sure they will, because I think season 2 has gotten much more positive feedback than season 1 did. So anyway, back to the story. They weren't really planning on Florida being for season 2 because I guess they didn't really have a lot of applicants that they really liked or for whatever reason. So yeah, so I was like, oh, okay. So at that point I was kind of like, oh. Anyway, so she told us that and they did their interviews and blah blah blah, and then she had to, I think if I'm remembering this correctly, I think what she had to do next was pitch me, because she screen records the Skype interviews, and so what she had to do is kind of pitch me to the producers, I think, her boss, or maybe it was someone under the producer and then the producer. So she had to like kind of pitch me to them. And I don't really know how long it was. So I did do some filming, some behind the scenes stuff of like the journey, and I lost some of the videos, and yeah, so that's why I'm gonna do the video though. But anyway, so maybe if I can recover those videos, it'll give you a little bit better of a timeline, because I remember I specifically said the dates and how long it was. But anyway, so we did that and she pitched me, and then they wanted me to do a walk around video of the car. It had to be 10 minutes, like they wanted a long video. And I actually have it, it's on my YouTube channel, but it's unlisted, or it's private, I think. So I don't know, maybe I'll show you, maybe I'll make it public, or maybe I'll just take little clips of it, because it was so awkward because it's 10 minutes long. And I actually think I was wearing this shirt in it. But anyway, so we had to do a whole walk around video of the car. And so after some mishaps that they had in season 1, they wanted you to record yourself like getting in the car, driving it, and driving it around the block and everything. And I couldn't do that because 2-ish weeks before that, we had a stroker in the car before, and it kind of came apart. They pulled the wrist pin out and there was 3 or 4-ish holes put in the block. so it was undrivable. And at that point I was crushed because again, I really didn't think I was being chosen. So when she was like, oh yeah, you made it another step and you made it another step and now you have to do this, and I was like, oh God, I guess I'm not being chosen. You know, I explained it to her and she said that it would be really hard. So honestly, I have to really give it to Margaret. I love her so much because she really went out on a limb, and she said, you know, after the first season we had a lot of people that, you know, they lied to us and said that the cars were running when they weren't and blah blah blah. So this was kind of to save our ass, but I'll get into why that's kind of a flawed sense of thinking. I'll get into that later. But so she told me to just do the video anyway, and that she believed in me, and she's like, you know, I really think that you're different. I think that you're gonna, not different in like, oh, you're so different in the sense of like you're gonna get it done, like you're not bullshitting me or anything like that. You know, so she told me, I'm gonna fight for you, and I'm gonna convince them. So just do the video and whatever. So it was even harder to make it 10 minutes long because I couldn't drive the car. So I basically just did a video like, hey, I'm Adriana, this is my boyfriend. I think I introduced my dad as well. Or no, I introduced my dad and my boyfriend was recording. And I showed them the car. I showed them why it was a sleeper street car, you know, the full interior, the secret nitrous gauges, you know, the stereo, and, you know, all the working doors and windows and hatch and everything like that. And then showed them around the shop, like where we work on the car and things like that. So I did that, sent it in. I was convinced I wasn't gonna get it at that point because the car wasn't running. So then they tell us, what came after that? So after we did the walk around video, I think she told me I was chosen at that point. After that, a little while after that, like a week or two after that, she told me, you know, you're picked. And so then I started really freaking out. I'm like, oh, how are we gonna get the car running in time? So, and then okay, so here's why I was freaking out. Oh, so when are we gonna record? You know, like when are we gonna film? What's our timeline here? Oh, well, you know, I'm not really sure, you know, maybe January, maybe like December, maybe next week, maybe last month. Oh, so you can't give me like a roundabout time, you know, that maybe we'll be filming, like, so, you know, I know like how fast I need to rush things, and yeah, you know, I really can't tell you anything. You should probably just have it running by tomorrow. Okay, thanks. So yeah, I was kind of freaking out, but thankfully for my dad, best dad ever, and everyone else that helped us, we got the car running in time. And we had to have Rami do all the machine work really fast. R&R got us our rods really fast, and that's when we ditched the stroker, because that was the second time that it came apart. So ditched the stroker, went back to stock stroke, but this time with R&R aluminum long rods, 156mm rods. So we do all this and we get the car running. So they send us the rolls, and they told us, you know, you need to have a cage in the car. Oh, that's what it was. So when she had talked to me and said like, oh, you know, you're chosen, this is what you need a cage, a 6-point, you need a fire extinguisher, you need, if you have nitrous, you need a blow down tube. I can probably still find the rules in my email, but anyway, so you had to have like a blow down tube, blah blah blah. But really the biggest thing was like it needed to be tagged and insured. It needed a cage. It needed a cage. That was the biggest thing, is it needed a freaking cage. And not like a cage, but a 6-point. So they're like, oh yeah, we'll pay for anything that you need for safety wise, not to get it running. I wish they paid to get it running because that would have been really nice, but they didn't. So anyway, so we tell them, you know, we want MB Fab to do the cage, and we don't want a 6-point mild steel cage. We have a cage that we want. We want a 10-point, blah 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 blah. And so they said, okay, fine. So we bought the cage. We paid for the materials of it because it's a pre-bent cage already. So we paid for that, and then they paid MB Fab to do the labor, which I really hope MB Fab charged them like double, because I'll explain why in a second. So honestly, I kept telling them, I was like, we need this cage. I think it was October-ish, and that's a really busy time. I told her, like, this is really busy time for fab shops. You know, we need to get this done, we need to get this done, we need to get this done, we need to get this done. Like, hello, where are we gonna go? I need you to talk to me. I need you to, like, because like I said, it's their job to communicate with the shop and get all that taken care of. So, oh yeah, we'll get it, don't worry, we'll get it, don't worry. And December rolls around and it's still not. So eventually they're like, okay, we have it set up now and be foul, blah, blah. And actually I think Michael told me, I don't even think they told me. I don't really remember that deep into it, but it's Christmas. So we drop the freaking car off and he gets it all done extremely fast. I wasn't expecting it. And there was actually a delay for 3 days, I think, because the A-pillar bars were basically, it wasn't this bad, but they were basically like this. So you know your A-pillars. So it's basically like this, and it really needed to be, you know, like this. Yeah, I was sticker material. So pillar bar was like this. It needed to be like this, essentially. Like it needed to be bent. It wasn't bent properly. It wasn't bent enough. And then the bender that they needed for it, they did not have. And the guy who did was out of town because it was Christmas. I waited about 3 days, I want to say. Which, I mean, that's nothing against them whatsoever. But they got it done really, really fast. And I was so grateful. And it's not even so much how fast they got it done that's impressive, because it is. It really is. But it was the fact that it was Christmas and New Year's. And honestly, I also have to, you know, thank their wives and girlfriends and whatever that they allowed them to, you know, work late and get the car done for us and everything like that. And I'm forever grateful to them for doing our cage, and they did my chute handle for me. Obviously, they did the seat, fire extinguisher, everything like that. So I was so grateful for that. And then they told me January-ish. I still didn't have a solid date that we were filming. And if it wasn't Netflix, like if it was just some no-name production company, or not production company, it was just like some no-name network, I'd be like, this is really sketchy. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen. So they still didn't have a time. I don't think I had a date until January. I don't think they gave me a date before January rolled around. So that was interesting. So they tell me that our date is January 21st, I believe. And what they did was they had me film 2 days. We filmed Sunday and Monday, then we had a break Tuesday, and then we raced Wednesday. So let me backtrack a little bit. We get the car put together, we get the cage in, blah, 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 blah. We decide, obviously, it's in the shop. We're trying to idle it, get it going. Maybe I can, you know, put some freaking miles in the car. And it's smoking pretty good. It's pretty bad. And it turns out the total seal rings that we had were totally unsealed. And the whole thing came apart like 2 days before we had to film. And it was not done until 4 in the morning. It was pretty bad. So I don't know what I would do without my dad and my boyfriend Patrick. But at this point, this isn't even how I got chosen. So I'm getting like kind of beyond that. Some of that is a blur. Oh yeah, because there's like New Year's and stuff, so there's no testing going on. So we had no testing in. I had very little experience driving the car as an auto because it was a manual before, and then I grenaded it. So I didn't have a lot of experience driving the car as an auto, getting it up in the converter, things like that. And it was pretty nerve-wracking. So as you guys saw when we filmed, we went to Immokalee, and I'm so grateful for Thomas at Immokalee for this, because I had no idea what we would have done. Because even though as little as it was big at the same time, and he scraped the track for us. He scraped right line, which is why it was so slippery. Trust me, the track's not like some horrible track. He literally scraped the track. And, you know, because he knew that it was supposed to be a no prep thing. So he's like, oh, you know, I scraped the track for you, whatever. I did my first pass, and as you guys saw, I like drifted down the track. Then I think I made one more pass, and that was it. I got 2 passes in, 2 8th mile passes in. And so yeah, so I did not have a kill tune. I did not have a nitrous tune. I didn't have anything like that. So it was very soft, not soft, it was very safe tune. And obviously we weren't going to just spray it and risk the car for, I mean, as cool as it would have been, we weren't going to risk the car for something that was free, that technically we paid for. Not only was it didn't pay us, we paid for it. And yeah, so I'm going to get more into, that's going to be a whole nother video about my experience on it. So I'm going to get into that in a completely separate video, but that's basically how I got chosen to be on Fastest Cars. I submitted an application and waited weeks and weeks and weeks and months, and eventually got a phone call interview and a Skype interview, and oh, I ended up talking, I think, to a producer. I don't remember. I think it was a producer because it was a guy, and I talked to him, I think, like twice on the phone, and that's where we went over rules, and I'll get into the rules in a whole nother video. Don't worry about it. And yeah, so I followed all the rules. Pretty much all that it was I submitted an application. You gotta have a sob story ready, and I mean, I can't even really say anything that's a requirement about a car because as you guys saw this season, it was like, but we're gonna into that later on. So just, you know, when you guys do your application, don't be afraid to, you know, list any accomplishments that you might have. You know, if you do something else that's cool, if you, you know, ride motorcycles, or, you know, you did karting as a kid, or you do motocross, or, you know, anything like that, don't be afraid to talk about it. If you have a cool video of you doing it, just link it, because obviously they watch it apparently, because they told me that when they watched that, they were like, oh my god, we need this girl on the show. So there you go. And I'm really happy. I guess, oh yeah, that was another thing, as they said, they really weren't planning on doing a Florida episode, but then after talking to me, they really wanted to do a Florida episode, so then you guys get your Florida episode. But yeah, so it was really exciting. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of headaches, but overall, I'm super grateful for the experience. And this Friday, September 27th, yeah, it's gonna be 27th. Friday, September 27th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll be going live right here on my YouTube channel to answer your guys' questions about the show. You're free to ask questions about me, my favorite color, or whatever. So you guys are free to ask questions about me and the car, but I would love to talk about the show more. So if you guys have questions about the show, or what I thought about other episodes, because I watched all the other episodes and the finale or anything like that, please log in, ask me some questions, hang out, subscribe to my channel. It'll really help me out. And that's all that I have for you guys right now. So I will see everyone on Friday, September 27th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye.